Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jessica, and this is the Jessica Diaries. We are diving into Married at First Sight, Season 20, Episode 4. I know I'm like super late on this, so let me tell y'all what I did because I am notoriously good for starting a series to review and then I just completely check out because it's too much to try to keep up with the production and do my reviews and edit it. I'm a one woman show. I do everything from the film and the editing, the graphics, sourcing stuff. I do everything on my own and I don't just make review content. I actually prefer not to do this. This is my way of trying to grow my channel and reach new people. And I'm a reality TV junkie. It is my guilty pleasure. It's how I wind down. So this channel is, after all, called the Jessica Diaries. It's every part of me, all the things that make me me. I don't want to put myself into a box. I want to make content that I enjoy making, even if it doesn't always fit. So that's how we are getting the reviews. Now, the other part of this is I am full, like, totally barefaced. I didn't even do my eyebrows for y'all. Normally I do. I like to be made up. I did put on some lip balm and some liner because I didn't want to look totally washed out. But I'm also trying to just show up. Like, it's Saturday. I normally do not film on Saturdays. I always film throughout the week when I'm wearing makeup. I have my designated days that I film, or like if I have a meeting, I'll try to film some real quick because I'm made up. But I just want to be authentic and I don't wear makeup every day. So this is me trying to get out of my comfort zone just so I can get it done. I really want to keep my videos with my face. Faceless content is cool. I love faceless content. I watch a lot of faceless content, but I don't know. I just feel like I need to show up, like, and let you see me. Let me know if y'all care about that or not. Because if y'all don't care, I can put these reviews out way faster, but nobody's talking to me in the comments. So I feel like it really doesn't matter. But if you have an opinion on it, let me know. Anyway, let's get straight into it. I have rambled enough. We're on episode 4 of Married at First Sight, season 20. I have watched up until episode 9. I decided I'm filming every review today. So I watched episode 4 to 9 back to back to back. It's literally the only thing that I've done the last 24 hours so that I can film all these reviews at once and I ain't got to worry about it. So this is the first morning after the wedding. So we open up with Michelle, Nikki, Marissa. They're all feeling their man, even though Nikki is stressing that it is not physical attraction yet. Marissa says Adam is a great kisser, and that is totally unexpected for him to be a great kisser in color. I just could not see it, but I'm going to take her word for it. Tori says that she's impressed with the matchmakers. Felipe reveals to her that he struggles with commitment and he's going into their situation committed. And this is a good thing for him so he can just focus. Basically, he was trying to say, in previous relationships, I wasn't really committed. So I was trying to get to the commitment. So in this particular situation, he's already committed because they're married. And so he feels like it's easier for him to focus on the relationship. And Felipe keeps suggesting that relationships are hard for him. And I don't know how Tori feels about this. She doesn't talk about her feelings a lot up until this point. But that's something that he has consistently said. So Mecca said that he's feeling like he's kicking it with his best friend. He said they were kikiing and spilling tea. And I was like, now, Mecca, we already got the nails going on. People trying to say you might be on the DL and you talk about you and your woman that you just married is kikiing. You're not, listen, you're not helping the allegations with that. But Belle says she feels like she's kicking it with her best friend, talking to her best friend too. So I guess it's working for them. Caitlin shared how nice it was to snuggle, that she was very touchy with Devin and it didn't turn her off like she thought it would. She says she's a slow burner. If I had to hear the term slow burner again, they are running it into the ground. And I just felt like at that point, again, I've watched all of the episodes, but we're talking about episode 4. It's just like y'all shouldn't be marrying strangers if it's you're gonna keep all your walls up. Like that totally defeats the purpose. You're supposed to just go into it with this trust in these matchmakers that this person is the one, and you should be all the way in. Going up with walls up really defeats what this show is about. You should just do a traditional marriage, get to know someone so those walls can naturally come down and you're not in this expedited situation. I really don't understand Caitlyn and Courtney in particular why they decided to do this show. It's crazy to keep hearing them talk about how much they want to take it slow. So they're at their honeymoon in Mexico. Sean is joking, but the problem with Sean's jokes is that he has some seriousness in those. Like he's joking, but he mean it at the same time, or at least it's coming off their way to me. Courtney's acting like she the man in a relationship. She is trying way too hard. Felipe's continuing to shower Tori with compliments, telling her everything. He wants to get into the important stuff. He asks her about religion. She says she's a Christian and he's an atheist. And my thought is like, how disrespectful is it of the matchmakers to pair a Christian with an atheist? That is just wrong on so many levels. Having Christian beliefs, you really are brought up on, being equally yoked. Man, woman, working together as a unit. The cord of three, there's the husband, wife, and God, so having that type of religious background, it's just some things that atheists do or some ways that they feel that are just not going to match. But it seems like Tori's okay with it, which I was really shocked for her to be okay with it. Most Christians would not be. And they talked about baptism, all that kind of stuff. In my notes, I put Tori's lips are overly swollen. Maybe the lipstick makes it worse, IDK, but they look so unnatural. Like Tori came out like with this bombshell, this beauty girl, this baddie like girl that looked like she takes a lot of care with her appearance and this and that. And it's like now that we kind of settling in, I'm kind of changing the way I'm looking at her. Like she may not be that baddie marketing chick that just got it. I don't know. She doesn't have that personality or that vibe, that energy that I thought she would. So again, Felipe brings up monogamy. He doesn't know if it's hard to be in a monogamous relationship because he hasn't ever been in one, but he's all in. He keeps stressing that he's all in. So Adam finally starts asking Marissa some things about herself. She's okay with him not drinking. She said it hadn't been difficult like she thought it would be. And these two are surprising me, actually. I guess the way that she reacted at the wedding saying she knew him, I just automatically, well, that plus the way Adam was coming off and like his introduction and the energy he gave, I just didn't expect them to really hit it off. And maybe Marissa is a lot more goofy and, a lot more of that than she kind of looks like it. Like, I feel like now that we're seeing more of her personality, her and Adam actually do make a decent couple. I don't know. I'm just surprised at their connection. I didn't believe that they would connect at all. So Cameron expressed a desire to talk openly to Michelle about just different struggles that they've had. She got really emotional and told him about her fibroids and needing surgery, but wants to definitely have kids, despite that being a struggle. And Cameron was very understanding. He said that his sister was adopted, so he would be open to that. And I think that there was a good conversation between those two because they kind of started off really reserved. Michelle was having to do a lot of the work to pull Cameron's personality out because he just comes off so rigid. But I felt like that was a great moment for them to just be honest about the hard stuff. That's where true vulnerability is in relationships, being able to tell the truth about hard things. So Belle talks about not wanting to initiate too much with Mecca, and she's wanting to be clear on where they are before she goes there physically. And she asks Mecca about that, and he felt like, they were on a good track. Caitlin and Devin, she's talking about how stubborn she is and she doesn't like to back down like her dad. And now by episode 9, I think we are seeing that, but I'm going to save it for that review. Um, but her and Devin do have similar strict upbringings, and I'm not surprised that Caitlin came from a strict household, just the way that her dad was. At the wedding. Like, it's obvious that he was a strict dad. He came off strict even with her being a grown woman and just acting like it was so difficult for him to support her. I definitely believe she grew up in a strict household. And, now that I think about it, I wonder if Caitlyn deciding to do this show is kind of like in her subconscious a way to get at her dad. For her and her dad to have not been able to come to terms and have him walk her down the aisle, and then he gets up and make these speeches, and you kind of tell like what type of person he is a little bit. Like, you can tell he's a very, like, he lets his presence be known. I wonder, with her saying that she grew up in this strict household, and then taking into account just how traumatized she seems to be by the thought of getting close to someone. I wonder if this show is some sort of like that little part of her that wants something different and wants to be adventurous and wants to let loose and, wants to like be who she truly is. I wonder if that's why she got on the show, because everything else is screaming she shouldn't have been on here. I don't know. I just feel like maybe it's something to this whole thing for her. And it maybe has to do with her dad or her upbringing. I don't know. That's just a hot take. So Sean's hyping Nikki up about her body. He acknowledges he isn't in shape, but he loves his dad vibe. So Nikki tells him, like, go on and take the shirt off. And I just feel like they are nerdy and quirky together. Like, they can't see it, but they have a lot of similarities just in their personalities. It manifests in different ways, but they're similar to me. So Nikki asks his thoughts about her walking down the aisle. She doesn't compliment him. He complimented her, but she doesn't compliment him. It just says that, he looked really confident. And at that point, Sean clarified for Nikki that it wasn't really about what he saw at the altar. It was he kind of trusts the process and trusts the timing of everything. I hope Nikki kind of picked up like what he was trying to put down. I feel like Sean has been throwing lots of subliminals toward Nikki about, how all of it made him feel and how she should be looking at their arrangement. So she revealed that she was the one who ended all of her previous relationships, and she feels like she has grown past that. He asked her to share something that she's grown in, and he wanted a clear understanding of her growth, but she didn't want to feel like she was being interviewed and didn't really want to discuss her past relationships. And I'm noticing, like, my husband and I are extremely open. Like, we tell each other all our crazy stories, like the things he's told me and the things I've told him that I've experienced. And, we are just open like that. But I'm finding that a lot of folks don't share that type of stuff with their spouse. Like, they don't want to talk about the past relationships and go into all the details. Like, my husband know everything. He know names, places, faces. He know everything. And same for him. But I guess, that's not the norm. I don't think you talking about a past relationship means that you aren't over that person or that you're still there. I just feel like it gives a lot of context for, who you are, because our relationships shape us, good or bad. And I don't know. I was like, why is she acting like she can't talk about the past? Like, it's the past. It ain't gonna do nothing. Unless it's traumatic. I can understand it, especially with her and Sean not being there at that point. But I don't know. I'm like, girl, it ain't that serious. But she felt like Sean's questioning killed the mood. And, he's being very academic with her. And it's not like an organic personal connection. And he just continues to clarify what he means and that he wants to just know her better. And I think that Nikki's trying to change who Sean is because she doesn't like it instead of accepting him for who he is. That's I feel like is gonna be a big hurdle in their relationship with her. Like she's already not attracted to him. So I think that she isn't as patient with the process as she probably wants to be, because you see her trying and then it's like it goes left and then she'll try again and it goes left. But I think she needs to just accept Sean for who he is if she's going to be there. Like, if you're going to try to get past your lack of physical attraction with him, you're going to have to accept him for who he is. And as far as his questioning to her, I know that that's been like a big topic of a lot of reviews. I don't think he said anything wrong. I don't think he did anything wrong. It was just a question. I feel like she didn't want to answer it and got defensive. And maybe triggered a little bit. I don't know. And she just kind of like felt the way about it. But I don't think it was that bad. He just wanted her to go deeper. And that's what has to happen, especially in a situation like this, in order for them to connect. So Nick and Courtney, they're awkward together. I can't decide which one of them is making it awkward. I feel like Nick is trying and Courtney just needs to open up and say what's on her mind. So Felipe asks Tori what her hopes are, what she wants. She talks about wanting loyalty and she shares her experience of being cheated on. And this is when I feel like the matchmakers are playing around a little bit. Tori and Felipe seem like they could be a good couple, but I do feel like there's some fundamental differences there, not just with the religion, but also with her needing loyalty and him being afraid of monogamy. Like, that is a terrible match. But his personality also kind of fills up the room. It takes over. Like, it's kind of putting her in a shadow. Like, she's in his shadow a bit because he's just so, I don't know, he has a big personality. So he goes on overly explaining about being a cheater and how much of a down moment it was in his life, and he wants Tori to trust him 100%. I don't know. I think that Felipe needs to relax and trust himself and remember why he signed up to be on this show. It's like he's already thinking about when it gets hard, and it's not hard yet. I think he needs to just go with the flow. So Belle and Mecca, they're on the yacht. She's asking him because, they've talked about how close they are, how good of friendship they have so far. And she's trying to figure out, like, are we friend zoning ourselves, or will we be able to flip this switch and go from friends to romance? Because I don't know, I think that they've been super, super friendly, and I think it's a good thing, but they do need to quickly try to figure out if the romance is there, because that's ultimately what's going to make or break them. Because sometimes when you get too friendly with a person, you hold back things that you need to say because you don't want to hurt them now, and their needs start to kind of trump yours, or their wants and what they desire kind of trumps your desires and your wants, because now you're looking at them as a friend and you want that for them. Friendship and closeness and intimacy, all of those things can coexist. But I guess what I'm saying is when you're too friendly, then other things can start to like become a problem. She basically tells Mecca, like, listen, I'm ready to try. I'm ready to try to make this switch. I think she's realizing that her not kissing him may have kind of set this tone. So she let him know, like, hey, you got the green light. And I feel like in that moment he should have kissed her. Like, he really should have kissed her, but he didn't give her anything. And, they did a little cheers and drank, but he didn't really give her anything. And I feel like he should have kissed her. So Courtney and Nick are back being awkward. She says she's bored, but he says he's having a ton of fun. I am so confused by these two. They talked about why he applied for reality shows. And he asked her about any type of artistic thing she's doing. She says she's more of a doer. She likes to just move and be doing things. Clearly she spends a lot of time in the gym, so that tracks. That's believable. um but she's saying like something's missing between us. I don't know what it is, but something's missing. And he's just continuing to say how good he thinks things are going, which makes me wonder, like, is Nick being truthful? Like, is he just saying what's right? Is he just saying what he feels like he should say? Or is this truly how he feels? Because their body language and their chemistry or lack thereof is just not matching with what he's saying. And I do feel like Courtney is holding back because in her mind, she's still stuck on this reality TV stuff. And she may be like wanting him to make moves, even though she's not verbalizing it, because she's like still trying to test and see if this is something he's genuinely trying to do or if it's just another, reality show appearance to him. Caitlin and Devin are diving off the rocks and, having competitions. They get into a chat about their long-term relationships, and she reveals that she's not very in touch with her emotions. And it's like every time Devin expresses his desire for togetherness, she pushes back with why it's good to not be together. She talks about how she's valuing taking things slow. I'm not touchy feely. I'm not affectionate. I like my alone time. And it's making Devin feel like she's being standoffish. So I really feel like Devin deserved a different person. I almost feel like Devin and Marissa should have been together because Marissa knows how to have fun, and I'm not going to say Caitlin and Adam should have been together. Caitlin actually would probably be better with Nick because he'll leave her alone because he don't really have nothing to say. But I don't know. Devin and Marissa probably should have been together. I think Devin deserves something better than what he currently has with Caitlin. So Sean and Nikki, they revealed that they were doing a video diary and went left. And basically the point of contention between them at this point is that Nikki made a decision about whether or not they were going to have sex before the experiment was over. She basically made a decision that it's not happening until we've locked in. We've decided if we're going to stay married. And so, and it was because she felt like it was important to leave that part at the end. And she didn't like that he pushed back and says, oh, you're not talking to your wife correctly. And I feel like you're dictating everything, Nikki. You're making all the decisions. You're telling him what he's going to do when he's your husband. And it traditionally, men are the leaders of the household. You're saying that's the type of man that you want, and he's being that, but you're pushing back. And then you want to throw the wife card. You can't throw the wife card when you're not acting like a wife. You're acting like the husband by dictating everything and saying what you say goes. So you can't throw that wife card out there when it works for you, but not when your husband is trying to tell you that he wants to be part of this decision and this is his experience too. And he's saying that it's not that I just, want to rush to have sex. It's not that. But when you're married, you want that whole person. You don't want anything closed off. Now, I'm going to say this about Sean. He has his issues, but he's not wrong. Like, take away, because I've been seeing how people feel about him, and I get it, and it's justified. But at the same time, we're still, as far as we're concerned, that's Nikki's husband. And Nikki is not respecting him as a man and as her husband. So those two just have some very, very serious communication issues. But I do like that even though he knows it's probably going to come with a conflict, he's standing his ground and like, look, I'm a man. You ain't finna be telling me what's going to be what. I'm part of this marriage too. And you got to respect that. You do. Like, this is his process as well. The only problem with Sean's position is that you need Nikki. So you got to find some common ground with it. I feel like the good thing about Sean and Nikki, though, is they're not running from the conflict. And it could be their age and experience, but they're not afraid to have the conflict. Like, I'm not just gonna be nice and pretend because we married now and all these cameras are up and I'm getting to know you. Let's get into it. Like, if it's an issue, I'm gonna talk about it. If I feel a way, I'm gonna say it. And I think that that's good. I think that is totally what they should be doing, because being married is, after the cameras go off, is real life. So you need to have it out a little bit, just to make sure that this is a person that you can be with, because that conflict is going to arise. It doesn't make sense to pretend just so you avoid it. You know what I'm saying? So they're not running from the conflict, and I'm here for that. They need to have it, like, healthy, of course, but conflict is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing all the time. So Kaylin gets up and goes to the gym alone. She didn't wake Devin up. And I'm just like, girl, what are you doing? Like, you already have basically pushed him away, like telling him, I'll touch you when I want to touch you. I'll be with you when I want to be with you. Y'all agree to go to the gym, but you just gone skirt out there. You're not single anymore, Caitlin. You're not single anymore. And it's making Devin feel like he's not wanted. And this has been a thing. Like, I'm noticing how people who are watching this show and commenting on YouTube have a totally different perspective than the folks that are watching and making Threads posts. So I'm seeing that YouTube kind of feels like, a lot of the people on YouTube kind of feel like Devin is in the wrong. Whereas a lot of people on Threads feel like Caitlin is in the wrong. And I honestly just feel like Devin deserves better. He deserves better, because the thing is, you can be how you want to be. Nobody's saying don't be yourself, but when you are married, you become one. And it's not just about you being who you are. You have to adapt to your partner. You have to compromise. It is not the Caitlin show. And Devin is not asking for anything out of the ordinary. He just wants a little attention to feel like he's wanted. It almost feels like Caitlin is like, I want to be married. I want it to be on my terms, at my pace. My husband's gonna have to move around and meet me where I am, and he's also going to be a stranger. Like, that sounds crazy. She needs to decide if this is the show for her, because Devin can do better than it. He really can do better than it. Probably outside of the show. He might be getting DMs of women telling him how they can be better. Kaylin is not it for him. I'm sorry. She's not it. Now we go to a group dinner. Belle and Mecca have decided to call themselves Becca. That's their couple's name. Everybody's talking about how they're vibing with their couple. And I put on my notes, and I watched this episode so long ago. It says, not Adam worried about Felipe having a good match because of his personality. Adam, you should have been worried about yourself having a good match because of your personality, because you are a bro. Is it just me, or did y'all notice how Courtney was like openly flirting with Felipe at this group dinner? She was like, not even hiding it. Like, she was just all out in the open with it. And I found it to be very disrespectful, not just to Nick, but to Tori as well. Devin is hoping that after they've sat down with the couples and had dinner, and seeing how everybody is doing, that Caitlin is gonna kind of move things along. And that is why I feel like this group stuff is not a good idea. Like, being in group settings when you're newly married can help, but it also can hurt. And now we see how, because now Courtney and Devin are comparing their marriages to the other marriages, and you just can never compare. Like, the only thing they have in common is that they're all marrying strangers. Everything else out of that, there is no way to compare, because y'all don't even know each other as friends. You don't know your partner as a partner. You need to be trying to focus on your situation and not lining up how yours is compared to somebody else. That's just never good in a relationship, a marriage. It's just not in life. Like, it's not good to compare what you have with what someone else had, because you don't know what goes on behind the closed doors. People live totally different lives from what we see every day. Like, everybody is different at home and in their own space than they are out in the public. So I just don't think that they should be doing a bunch of group stuff, but I'm seeing that that's going to be a thing throughout this season. That's something new, because again, I haven't watched this in 7 years for sure. It's not since I've been married, but I just don't remember them doing a lot of group stuff. Belle is starting to catch feelings with Mecca. She said that their kiss felt like a movie, but she's starting to question like if he feels the same. She can tell that he's not really being as affectionate with her, even despite giving him the green light. So she's starting to, question it. Now, my concluding thought is this. I feel like Devin can do better. I feel like he deserves better. I do not like the group stuff because it can cause trouble and put things in their head. And it could lead to them getting validation for bad behaviors, which is what I feel like happened with Courtney and Caitlyn. Like, they're starting to validate how they're feeling, and they both wrong. So that can be dangerous to be in those settings. And just like from a viewer point of view, some of these moments of conflict that were in this episode, I really enjoy, because it's just good to watch from a observational point of view. And just as someone who is married and has been married for several years, I just like it because I can see them feeling ways that I feel and that I have understanding about now that I'm on the other side. Like, you have to learn to be married, whether you are a stranger or not. Like, my husband and I, we were together about 2.5, maybe 3 years before we got married. And even still, we both had to learn how to be a spouse, how to be a life partner. You don't just know how to do that, whether you married a stranger or not.